Or now do the fake.
Live from Dogleg Brewery in Fort Worth, Texas, it's You Can't Brew That on Television. Now here are your hosts, Kyle and the Reverend Ryan Bono.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another show of Producerless.
Producerless. We are producer-free tonight, and this is You Can't Brew That on Television. You are watching live right here at the Dogleg Brewery in Fort Worth, Texas. I am the Reverend Ryan Bono.
And I am Kyle Machete Lapointe.
Kyle Machete Lapointe. What are we doing tonight? We do every Monday night.
We're going to try to bridge the gap between beer snob and frat boy.
Awesome. Let's start bridging the gap. Actually, we are producerless tonight. This is going to be a total free-for-all. We're going to talk about anything and everything.
I got to try to keep my head on the screen,
too.
I'm growing
I'm not tall enough to have to worry about that, I don't think.
Yeah.
I could stand there. See, I could stand on my tippy toes and still be in the screen. So there's some little technical glitches that you might have to deal with because we're producer free, but that's okay.
But hopefully the feed's a little better tonight too, because it's straight from the house. We got some upgraded internet, as we were discussing earlier. That was in our pre-show. We've upgraded over here at the Dogleg Brewery to just about as high speed as you can get cable modem.
Yep.
Very happy about it.
So, we've got one of our favorite beers tonight, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
Yep.
This is just a fantastic beer. And hopefully you have some beer to enjoy while you're enjoying our show. You're not ready for beer yet. You're still drinking. Why don't you tell the folks at home a little bit about the homebrew that you're sucking down there?
This is what we call the fire sale, named by my wife after we completely screwed up a batch of beer. And accidentally, we might have slightly lit some grain on fire that we were trying to toast.
There may have been flames.
More than once.
Yeah, more than once.
As we opened and fanned the flames as often as possible to introduce oxygen back into the oven. But
Which
we took what was
always a good idea, we found out.
Yeah. And we took what was left of that burnt grain that wasn't burnt. It was smoked, as we called it. It was smoked malt. And we turned that into something where crappy, smoky technique is allowed.
And as luck would have it, last fall we spent most of the season talking about Scottish ales. And one thing that we remembered right off the bat when we ran into this problem was that Scottish ales involved an awful lot of pale malt and a little bit of roast. So here we were with an awful lot of pale malt and a little bit of roast. So we made a Scottish beer out of it. Yep. And it's not going to win any awards, but it's a really, really nice beer to drink.
Yeah, it's of the Scottish descent. You can tell that
everybody that drinks it immediately says, this is Scottish of some sort.
But what's that weird flavor?
Yeah, that's smoke.
And we go, oh yeah, it's smoke. And they go, it smells like you pooped in this, maybe. It's smoked malt.
It's not peat smoke, and it's not hickory smoke. It's
definitely
malt smoke.
It's definitely whatever's been in our oven smoke.
Yeah, and whatever else has been in the oven.
But it was a lot of fun.
So, last week we had a few questions from a viewer.
Yep, yeah, we did.
He sent us a laundry list of questions, and we were only able to get to 2 of them.
He thought it was this really, one little question with a little follow-up question.
Yeah, that's a good point. He didn't really intend to
But we thought the answer needed to be much more in-depth and more information than he wanted. And he was asking about corny kegs. Corny kegs being the type of kegs that we use in home brewing, the old soda can or soda concentrate that they would use to pump through with CO2 and then make and serve at the dispensers at pretty much everywhere. Well, now they've gone to bags and throwaway cardboard boxes, and so they've gotten rid of all these kegs because they're hard to clean and hard to keep sanitized
and heavy.
Yeah,
you got to consider shipping costs.
Mm-hmm. So, and you don't have to see the friendly neighborhood Coca-Cola guy as often. So if you don't see them as often, they can't sell you their new product. Oh, we got Minute Maid Zero. Sounds great, sir. I'll take some. But we use these kegs, and he was asking some questions about it. What type is what? And basically we told him that the ball lock is the standard type of keg.
Minute Maid Zero?
Minute Maid Zero. Write that down. So it's really good if you haven't had Minute Maid Zero.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like it's full of stuff that's good for you.
It's chock full of nothing, actually, because it's 0 calories. I'm very ADD distracted by our guest who just walked in too. All right, I'm back. So in answer to a further part of his question, he was actually trying to make a kegerator or have a kegerator that he was able to get a really good deal on and turn that into something he could dispense corny kegs out of. And in doing so, one of the things that we didn't get to mention last week is that Sankey is the style of connection that all large kegs use, or most of them, from the half barrel kegs, the big kegs that you see at the frat party in the trash can. That's called a Sankey keg.
Yep.
And it's a half barrel. It's about 15.5 gallons, and we've got a 5-gallon keg. Well, the dispensers are different, so you have to get a conversion kit. And I showed him a couple of places where you can get that. One of them is a place down in San Marcos called Keg Connection. And they'll make these little conversion kits where you basically cut the lines inside that pre-manufactured keg dispenser, and you add a splitter on it, and that splitter can then have a dispenser for a corny keg or a dispenser for a Sankey keg. It's great. Works out for both of them. So then if you want to load it with a keg that you just got a deposit put down at the store and brought a keg home, then you can. But if you want to use a 5-gallon, you can do that too. It's great.
Yeah.
And good for him. I mean, those are really pretty neat. They're expensive, so most homebrewers don't end up buying those because we're cheap sons of bitches.
Yeah. Well, and really the logistics of filling and even more importantly emptying a keg that size are just really make it not even worth it for the average home brewer. But
as far as the 5-gallon,
I'm sorry,
the 15
yeah,
gallon?
as far as the 15 gallon, I mean.
But one good thing about those kegging systems is they use a CO2 connection, so they push out all the beer with CO2. So when you're drinking it at a frat party, you're drinking that where it's got an oxygen pump on the top. And that oxygen pump is going to turn that beer bad. It's going to take a day or 2 or 3 or 4, depending on the beer, but it's going to go bad when you put an O2 on it. But when you have the CO2 pumping it out, the beer won't go stale, and so you can leave it on tap. And I mean, yeah, you got to drink a lot of beer to put down 15.5 gallons of one style of beer, and that's another thing most homebrewers don't do is drink one style that often.
Yeah, as a home brewer though, if you're throwing big parties or for whatever reason you're just gonna make and drink an awful lot of one particular beer, then it makes sense.
And I totally forgot I got to check in.
What are you checking?
Are
you using Untapped?
I'm using Untapped, yes.
I've got to start using that.
I always forget about it. I'm not much of a check-in kind of guy, but every time I'm on the show, I remember halfway through the show, but I figure, I might as well.
Let's talk about the Sierra Nevada Pale, because this is a beer that a lot of people drink.
Very much.
This is a really nice, welcoming beer to craft beer for people that haven't, they're drinking the Buds and they're drinking the Millers. They want to start drinking bigger, heavier stuff. This is one of the first ones that a lot of people drink.
It very much is, and I've got an interesting story about that, actually.
And so because so much of it is getting consumed out there, let's just talk a little bit about what people should be expecting. I mean,
Sierra Nevada, it's a pale ale, which is kind of an American style pale ale, because there is a pale ale in England, but it's totally different.
Yeah.
And this kind of a pale ale is it's always going to be hop forward. That's, I guess, the best way to describe it.
I think that's a very good way to describe it. You're going to get a hop flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily bitterness, but it's going to be there.
It's a little bitterness, yeah. I mean, it's definitely more bitter than some beers.
It's not going to be dry like drinking an IPA. You're not going to be making a face after, but it's going to be there.
And you're going to have slight bit of caramel.
Yeah, there's going to be a nice. This one's not quite as caramelized.
It's
got a nice honey brown color.
I was going to say honey brown.
Golden.
I was going to say golden.
Yeah, golden color. But some of your pale ales are going to have a little bit more of a caramely color.
But they're also going to have more caramely taste. It's not uncommon.
Yeah.
This is a much more pale ale, and it's just a great all-around drinking beer. I mean, it's refreshing. It's got the hops. It's got a good level of carbonation. It's everything you want in a beer as far as just drinking, and you can pair it with a lot of foods.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very versatile.
It's good with popcorn. It's good with chili. It's good with pizza. It's good with all kinds of sitting around the house and eating foods. So, I mean, it's perfect. It's great beer. But interesting you should say that, that's a lot of people's introductions to good beer.
Let's hear it.
when I was in college, a professor of mine by the name of Professor Mish, actually from California, crazy bastard. We had a party at his house before we went and toilet papered our dean's house. And for some reason, we got drunk because he had a cooler full of beer to bridge the gap, as it were. He pretty much said, you guys need to start drinking good beer. And I drank some good beer back then, or what I thought was good beer, right? We've already discussed that too, where you're like, Red Stripe. It's really good because it's from another country. And, you didn't quite know better. You knew what you liked and what you didn't. And Red Stripe wasn't one of my personal favorites, but I did like some of the foreign beers that end up now.
One of my favorites in college was Spaten Oktoberfest. And
it should still be one of your favorite beers.
It is. Well, it's not. It's gotten pushed out of the way a little bit, but
it's still, a great classic beer.
I truly enjoy.
I mean, it's mass produced, so it's going to lose a little bit of quality and flavor that you would have gotten probably even 15 years ago. But
anyway, so Mish's party.
Yeah, sorry, so I got he has just a cooler full of Sierra Nevada beers, and of different flavors, different varieties. They, of course, the pale ale was the most prevalent in there, and none of us knew better or cared. And I found it very off-putting that he was trying to slow down my consumption of 18 to 24 beers at one sitting. But I think I still managed to get fairly close to the 18 to 24 beers in one sitting, or standing, or falling, or whatever it was, as we then proceeded to toilet paper. Were you with us on that?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, you missed it?
I believe I already had a job.
No, we were still in college at the same. You graduated at the same time I did, right? Or semester before. So this would have been like in November of 2002.
Oh yeah. So I wasn't graduated. I was probably working.
Yeah, you were probably working. But anyway, we had a great time. It was 2 a.m. We're toilet papering our dean's house, and our dean is a character. Guy is hysterical. Wrote a book. What was his book called? Golf Balls Are Female. Golf Balls Are Female. That, if you ever get a chance, get the book. It's actually pretty entertaining, and I've got a few copies if anybody wants one.
Sorry, I was momentarily distracted. The chat room is alive and well.
Well, that's good. So we TP my dean's house, and we're sitting there, and as we're toilet papering, feeling every bit of our 12-year-olds of age, toilet papering, throwing all this stuff everywhere, being as quiet as a drunk gaggle of college students can be at 2 a.m. Well, out comes this young buck from the inside of the house and goes, what are you guys doing? Everybody else in the group goes, ah! It scatters and they're hitting each other, running into trees and taking off. And I'm like, if we're busted, we're busted. I go, do you have a bathroom in there, man? Because I gotta go. Lets me in. Ends up it's his son. And he's like, I think it's awesome that you're toilet papering my dad. And, chatted with him for a while. And I think he had a pretty good idea of who it was by the time graduation rolled around.
Considering stories for another episode, a more drunken episode, I think.
Considering when I walked across stage to get my college diploma, I was meted by a bunch of handshakes, one of which was from my dean, and a joy buzzer. It was quite humorous, as I knew something was going to be up. He had that look of, oh, I'm going to get you back, Kyle. But no, I love that guy. Our dean was pretty awesome.
For those of you just joining us, we're having a producer-less show tonight, which basically means mayhem.
So we're going to talk.
Yeah, and we'd like you to chat with us. I'm monitoring the chat room here, so any questions you have for us or any stories you want to tell us, just chime in. I mean, we don't really have a whole lot planned tonight.
No, we got a couple things we were going to talk about.
Yeah, we've got enough to talk about, but if anybody wants to get us off track, we're here to Chris
be derailed.
Says they had a raccoon fight at his house. Chris lives in the Everglades, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's kind of out in the sticks.
So a raccoon fight, meaning
2 raccoons fighting.
This wasn't a stage, like you didn't do that, like a cockfight would be staged here in Texas. This was a...
No, that'd be a good idea, though. That's a really good idea.
Mm-hmm.
We could do that when we open our brewery. We could have raccoon fights in there on Saturdays.
Oh, by the way, and for those of you who don't have chickens or roosters, we do have chickens and roosters. And we're about to take all of our roosters to get processed so we can eat them yummy roosters.
Honky wants to know what the first rule of Raccoon Fight Club is. I think I know what the first rule is, and I think you know what the first rule is, so we should probably stop talking about Raccoon Fight Club.
You don't make inaudible squeaky noises about Raccoon Fight Club?
That's right. You don't squeak about Raccoon Fight Club.
But anyway, chickens and raccoons, or I guess I should say roosters and raccoons, can both be mean sons of bitches.
Yeah.
They really can. I was sitting out there watching, and Megan says this happens all the time, but we're doing some work on the garden, tilling up the garden yesterday, and then this rooster just sees one of the hens and just jumps on that hen. And I mean, the hen is squawking and yelling, and he's got it clawed down, standing on the hen. I'm pretty sure if he could have, found the right position, he would have been, having his way with the hen, because that's apparently what they do.
Wow.
But they say most hens, if you have too many roosters in a hen house, their backs will just be torn up from the roosters just grabbing and latching on, because they don't just go, hey, let's have a casual mating situation. No. It's I will grab you with my claws, lock down with a death grip, and when I'm done, I'll let go.
It's funny you mentioned that, and we were talking about college stories earlier, because maybe another time.
I thought you were going to tell me about the time.
I was going to tell you about the time that I
McDonald-
met Honky.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the time that Norm Macdonald got his claws in your back.
Right.
So Bono's a fan of Norm Macdonald, by the way. So one thing we were going to talk about today, and we'll just kind of spur this up as a topic of conversation in the chat room. We're going to talk about a friend of ours murmuring through the crowds that maybe he's going to start a homebrew store. Kind of one of those deals. There are a few homebrew stores in our area, but they're of different types and of different natures.
And one of them is widely believed to be going out of business imminently.
Yeah, just because looks like a little too much overhead and
I think that they've just got a lousy location there in Southeast Fort Worth. You got to consider the radius of who you're selling to, and there's just not a lot of homebrewers in the Southeast Fort Worth ghetto in Mansfield.
And it's tough too, because you try to make money selling beer supplies to people that are ridiculously cheap when it comes to buying stuff to make their beer. I mean, we are so cheap. We will eBay and Craigslist whatever we possibly can. And I don't know what it is about it that intrinsically brings people to brewing their own beer, but maybe it's just the fact that they think they can do it cheaper than somebody can sell their little 40-cent.
I think that's a big part of it.
And then they realize, oh man, those guys selling the Budweiser, they're advertisers. They're not selling beer. They're selling something that you're going to keep buying your whole life. That's what they do.
So we were chatting with him on Saturday,
right,
during the Big Brew event, which we've talked about on the show in the past, and we'll talk about in the future, but that's not for tonight.
It's for the future.
And he wanted to know from us what we look for, like what we would want to see in a homebrew store. Just, he wanted ideas.
Yeah.
He wants to talk to home brewers about what we want to see, so that if and when he starts this, he can make sure to bring to people what they're looking for.
Not two people, actually more than two. More
people. Than two.
He wants to bring everybody what they want.
Like at least we're talking a minimum of 3.5 people.
So one thing we were talking about before the show was this is such a neat idea, because he was discussing what people have talked about, making it more of a public venue where people can come in, have a beer he's made, maybe, he doesn't know about the logistics or how any of that would work, but make it more of a friendly atmosphere for people to come in and learn how to brew a beer, or buy one of his kits that he's put together of a recipe they can drink while they're there.
Yeah.
So those are some ideas. But we were thinking, well, what about some of our fans? Not all our fans brew beer. Not all the people that are viewing and watching our show brew beer. So, there are different people out there that enjoy beer, and they enjoy beer festivities, that enjoy going to a bar and having beer. Well, what would you guys want in a homebrew store? What would bring you there?
What would make you walk in a home store? I know my old man's watching. Dad, if there was a home brew store in the Maitland Corner strip mall, right there at the southeast corner. I'm sorry, I got all turned around. On the southwest corner of Maitland Avenue and Horatio. What would
Horatio
make you,
Sands?
No, that's exactly, it's Horatio Sands Boulevard. What would make you walk into that store? You know, Honky, I know you're watching.
Yeah.
If there was a home brew store on the corner of Robinson and Flood, like what would make you go, I'd like to stop in there and just see what
I'm
they've
going to
got.
go in the home brew store today and just see what's going on. I mean, obviously you can't make it a bar with
You can, yeah, because that's a whole
TABC
different
rules
license.
here in Texas. It's very expensive to make a bar.
Yeah.
And especially I think the location that this guy was talking about.
No, I think you're allowed to give away free beer.
You can give away free beer just about everywhere in Texas. Or, and do certain type of membership things where you can be a member and give away alcohol, but you can't sell anything. So
Chris in the Everglades looks for something new and unique.
So you're talking about you like a new tapping of a beer, like a beer that
I think that might be what he's getting at. Like
the local store or the local bar you're at says, we're tapping Rogue Hazelnut Brown Ale this month. And
maybe like a rare beer tapping or something. Yeah, I think that might.
And whether or not he can provide that through commercial means, I don't know, but he could definitely do that.
Honky loves
just
the
plain
idea. Honky loves the idea of kits that help him brew his own while explaining the process. Chris likes something limited or commemorative, like maybe like a mug of the month is something we were talking about.
Yeah.
Honky basically wants the Alton Brown guide to homebrew. I like that idea. Alton Brown always brings really neat stuff to the table. I don't know if you're an Alton Brown fan.
I have no idea what that means.
He's a guy on the Food Network, and he looks at really, really unique stuff about food. He doesn't just teach you how to cook a recipe. He looks at the history of the recipe. He looks at the history of the ingredients. He looks at like a lot of the scientific stuff going on and why things taste the way they do. I think the Honky might be onto something. That would be a really neat thing.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as bringing that kind of stuff to I'm sorry, I totally brain farted there. I went, blah. I'm not sure if that's a word, but can you write that down and look it up later?
Bleh.
Blah.
Does it have 3 Ks or 4?
I think it's BR.
BR.
Yeah, BRE.
Is it an Asian word?
BREAUGH. That's right. It's Cajun. I learned it when I was down in New Orleans.
That's right, Cajun.
Bleh. So for all our Cajun viewers,
My old man says he needs to get him in the store. So
That's right.
Like an attractive storefront on a busy street corner, good advertising. I think that's what he's looking for.
And maybe it's something as simple as that. I mean, what homebrew crowd is going to know where a homebrew store is?
Yeah, but we're
maybe
talking.
you call the store beer, right? A huge sign that says beer. People will come to the store that a giant sign says beer.
People also go to a store that has a giant sign that says live nude girls.
That's right. It's an automatic sell.
Maybe he should name his homebrew store Live Nude Girls.
That would definitely keep people's wives away.
That's a good point.
So it could be a selling point. I don't know. There are women that brew beer.
Well, they can come in
studio
as
audience.
long as they're live and nude.
We wouldn't want to false advertise.
Just like 5. Chris wants to know if we're going to have live nude beers.
Live nude beers.
Actually, my old man points out that there's a restaurant in Dublin, Ireland called Nude. I'd forgotten about that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Because I think it's that Bono character that they've got running around out there. He's yeah. I think
we need to get a clip of you doing impressions and singing U2 songs.
I think that's a good idea. I've been trying to think of an answer to your Brew Buddy thing. I think you might be onto something.
You could sing "All the Roads Are Paved with Gold" or whatever that song is. I don't really know.
I can count poorly in Spanish. No, that would be a lot of fun.
I think as long as you just do the yeah. Yeah.
I
Pretty
think,
much know
I
you're
think
good as
any
gold
U2
then.
song is better when sung in the voice. So.
And for those of you who don't know about The Voice,
Oh, everybody listening knows about the voice.
you don't want to
Yeah.
know about The Voice.
She moves
Oh man,
in
there it is.
mysterious ways.
Yeah, she does. She also
All right,
talks in mysterious
we've got-
ways.
Yeah. Studio audience says that we need a producer, and I think she might be onto something. What else do we have?
We
for
have
the
we have
website?
trivia tonight.
We do have trivia.
So this is from
If-
our brethren over
This is,
at
the guys over the Half-Ass Sportscast.
I'll
and
read
those,
this so that
those
Bob
guys
can have a chance to answer.
Those guys come up with some great trivia. Let's hear what the guys have to say tonight.
This is from Johnny Gibson and Ryan Faulkner
Johnny-
over at
yeah.
Half-Ass Sportscast.
The guys
Yeah,
over at
the guys.
Half-Ass, yeah, the guys.
And so, check them out Wednesday nights if you guys want to watch about sports and otherwise funny.
I think they talk about hockey too.
They do. They talk about hockey, and they also talk about. Actually, this question is about soccer.
Oh, okay. Let's hear what they have to say.
It says, soccer fans in America traditionally drink these top. I'm sorry, it's written wrong. Drink these top 3 alcoholic beverages. Number 1 is Zima.
That was gonna be my first guess. Was Zima? Yeah.
Number 2 is Fuzzy Navel Wines Coolers by
Fuzzy
Boone's Farm.
Navel. I was gonna go with the strawberry margarita, Boone's Farm.
And then the 3rd is what beer?
oh man, that's a good question because it's soccer,
Right.
so they like kicking stuff around. So you might go with like an ass kicker. Oh no, I'm thinking of ass kisser. My bad.
Right,
my
ass
bad.
kisser, it's different.
They do like kissing asses in soccer too, though. I'm gonna go with Lindemann's Framboise. Final answer. Do we have an answer, or studio audience was guessing Coors? She thinks that soccer fans
Yeah.
in the
What
United
is
States.
our? Let's take this.
Yeah,
all the way
let's
to the
take
chat
this
room.
one to the chat room. Chat room, what do soccer fans in the United? What beer do soccer fans in the United States like to drink? I couldn't even. I didn't think that soccer guys would like beer. I was. Gonna
And
go
that's actually it. This is a trick question.
Oh,
It's a trick question.
I think this is the first
The
trivia
third-
question I've ever gotten.
The third was pina coladas. So, yes, it's pina
Wow,
coladas.
Good job from the Half-Ass Sportscast.
Well, thank you guys
Great.
at Half-Ass
Yeah,
Sportscast.
we're really, and make sure you watch them on Wednesday night because they didn't make
They're-
that question up at all, and they're a couple of really good guys who really love sports.
Yeah, so we were making fun of their fact that they're just now getting into English soccer as Americans.
Are they really talking about English soccer?
Yes, they are.
And then wonder why they don't have any viewers? Chris, we don't have any viewers either, and we're talking about beer.
You pretty
so-
much have to talk in Cockney at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think you do.
isn't it amazing how an English Cockney expression and dialect sounds a lot like Jimmy from South Park?
Yeah.
Jimmy, living life, Jimmy.
Chris from the Everglades wonders if soccer players enjoy penis coladas. And my old man, or no, Honky, wants to know if they like getting caught in the rain, too. So everybody clearly in the spirit of the soccer fan bashing. This is what I love about our audience.
And actually, I'll bring up a topic from their show. I was doing the podcast from their show here. I'll be honest, I haven't finished the first show. I was getting sidetracked a little bit, but it's really cool that you can podcast something. So you can take like this kind of a show and you can watch it on the podcast, take it in bits and pieces. If you can't handle the whole 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, you can, and because we're on the iPhone and the Droid, you can watch us while you're driving.
Yeah, you can definitely, which is pretty much a necessity for those in Texas.
You
driving.
drink, drive, and watch You Can't Brew That on
Right.
television.
And I think
that's
that's
match made in heaven.
It's a prerequisite that while you're watching our show, you also have to be drinking at least a beer, if not the beer we're drinking that night.
Yeah, hopefully the beer we're drinking, but
so yeah, if you're driving and watching the show,
and
you
drinking,
pretty much have to be drinking that beer.
So good luck.
But they were actually having a pretty interesting conversation.
That might be what's happening to our audience. I need to look into that.
Okay, write that down.
Yeah.
Write that down next to Brew. So they were talking about, apparently they were both going to the Stars game or near it or something the other day, and they met up afterwards or before for a beer, and it was really crowded. It was a big crowd, so apparently Johnny had a problem with, like, nestling up to the bar and ordering a beer from the bar. Like, he has never done that before.
Really? How old is he?
Johnny's kind of young. I think Johnny's about 23 or 24.
It's like your prime nestling up to the bar and ordering years right there.
I agree, but he went things a different way. So, you know, he was married young and has a child young. I mean, as far as today's young goes, because really, I mean,
well,
my parents
unless you live in a trailer
parents
park.
Yeah.
Or you're Puerto Rican.
But I won't touch that one today.
A big hello to all you Puerto Rican viewers.
And as they say,
so let's finish the story so we can wrap this up and drink more beer.
Yeah, but they were just discussing how he had never done that before, and Faulkner was calling Johnny out as being gay for not knowing how to order a beer for at a bar, as opposed to because he waited, and when they got a seat, or I believe they sat at the bar when people got up, then he ordered a beer. But you know, there was an interesting, lively discussion about which one was more gay, and Johnny kept bringing up the fact I am both married and have a child, and so I failed to see how that could make me gay. But
isn't Tom Cruise married with a child?
There's a lot of them out there, so I mean that's not an uncommon thing. So it was pretty funny though. I mean, it was a good discourse. You know, I like where they're going with their show. Not all about sports, but you know, sports related stuff. Just like not all our stuff's about beer. But pretty much all is. So
we should get them drinking beer during their show. We should have them previewing next week's beer during their show. They should drink it,
or they should drink what we've already had for the week.
They give the frat boy man's opinion of the same beer. I like that.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
That's good, man. Something came out of this.
Your turn to write.
My turn to write that down.
Well, while he's writing down, I'm going to talk about what we learned tonight. We learned that we need a producer pretty badly, because when we don't have a producer, we talk about all kinds of random stuff, including but not limited to Puerto Ricans procreating young.
We definitely talked about we made up trivia.
Yeah, about soccer fans drinking Zima, and of course TPing the dean's house.
Yes, that happened.
So while you're anxiously awaiting the return of our producer, we would like you to remember that we are definitely, most certainly not professionals.
So please try this at home.
Agitation, frustration, the memorization of the things I'm gonna do to you. This magical and powerful addiction to the pain affliction on your porcelain skin.